Hello everybody and welcome back to Miracle Whips. I'm T and today I'll be sharing leaked information with you regarding the C8 Z06 and explaining why the recent rumors of naturally aspirated Z06 are almost completely false. The evidence is pretty damning. We have pictures of the new motor we'll be sharing with you. First though, let me thank Corvette Blogger for posting our last video on the front page of their website. Guys, I am so glad everyone enjoyed that video, and I would like to welcome the over 800 new subscribers that are joining us because of that video. Thank you so much for the support. We're glad you're here. If you haven't already subscribed, it would mean a lot to us if you did. It's a very easy process. You really just have to click the subscribe button under the video and you'll be all set. You really have no idea how important subscribers are for young channels like ours. So guys, please, we're asking you, don't be stingy. We're putting these vids together for you. It takes nothing to hook us up with a subscribe. Okay, diving in. The C8 Z06 info has really heated up these last few weeks. We first got a photo of it testing alone, then a video of it ripping through the mountains, and shortly after that, a picture of it testing alongside the Porsche GT2 RS, which, in case you forgot, is one of the fastest cars money can buy. It can lap the Nürburgring in a mind-blowing 6 minutes 47 seconds thanks mostly to its aerodynamics and the 700 horsepower it has directly over its rear wheels. That's going to come into play later in this video as we explain to you what we know about the C8 Z06. Now, by comparison, the incredible C7 ZR1 couldn't break the 7-minute barrier on the Nürburgring, even though it had 55 more horsepower. So that's a problem this Z06 is clearly working to fix, and we think it might just get there. Now, GM Authority started this rumor by posting an opinion piece which they masqueraded as fact with the cringeworthy clickbait title, "Here's why the C8 Corvette Z06 is naturally aspirated." Well guys, here's why you're wrong. That's right, here's a photo of the upcoming Z06's engine, which we'll get to in just a second. Now, in that article, GM Authority brought up the overheating issue that some Z06 owners have reported. So because the supercharged Z06 has been reported to overheat, they imagine that forced induction is just not plausible and that the C8 will return to its C5 and C6 roots and continue on naturally aspirated. The problem is they forgot about the most popular form of forced induction and arguably the fastest, more efficient form, turbocharging. That's right. So let me give you a little backstory here, just so we can gain some credibility with these pictures we have of the Z06's motor. It starts like this. Back in 2017, an anonymous user shocked the Corvette community by posting pictures of the still top secret Corvette C8. It didn't take long for naysayers to rip apart the user, demanding more information and accusing him of being a fraud. But those familiar with GM's design process knew almost immediately that these CAD images were the real deal. Of course, now that the C8 is revealed, if we rewind 2 years and compare, there's no longer any doubt. Everything from the frame to the headlights to the body lines and the included LT2 engine in the CADs were all spot on, verifying that his info was 100% true to his word and vindicating him completely. So you're probably asking, T, why does this matter? Well, before the user disappeared, he left us these images containing shots of the Z06's motor, rear splitter, and active Aero spoiler. So looking closely at the CAD images, you can see a tightly packed dual overhead cam twin turbocharged V8, which is claimed to be 5.5 liters in displacement and connecting the pistons together with a flat plane crank which should sound familiar, of course, because we now know the C8R is equipped with a 5.5 liter dual overhead cam, flat plane crank V8. However, back then, it sounded pretty wild and nothing more than a pipe dream for the average Vette enthusiast who have only ever known pushrod V8s in the Vette's past. But the engine's not the only thing that we've seen here. We also see images of the rear section, which exposes what looks to be an active Aero rear spoiler and a more aggressive rear splitter. The rear splitter makes sense, nobody would question that, that's fine, but the active Aero is something brand new for Corvette and was pointed out by eagle-eyed user and one of the pioneering C8 Render Kings, first Vette soon, or FVS as he's known. You can see the long actuator shown here and the bottom of the active spoiler assembly here. The actuator would actually push up the spoiler when more downforce is required. Here's an early rendering by FVS showing how this may operate. Now this may be a crude early render, but look at the size of that actuator. It would actually allow a huge amount of travel, making the choice between high, medium, and low wings now unnecessary, which is important because the 755 horsepower C7 ZR1 was available with 2 spoiler choices, and the short wing was needed when completing its 212 mile per hour top speed run, as the high spoiler was too restrictive. This supports the change to active Aero for the new Z06. If we look at the test mules, we can see they have been spotted without anything on the back. This is strange considering the C8 Z51 was always spotted with its spoiler on. And this leads us to believe the active Aero spoiler is actually retracted beneath the cover on this test mule. Now going back to the engine, it also makes sense that it's turboed as it's being benchmarked against the GT2, which is also turbocharged. If it was in fact naturally aspirated as being claimed by GM Authority and other YouTubers, it would surely have a naturally aspirated car as its benchmark. Although looking at the list of the fastest cars around the track, there aren't any naturally aspirated V8s putting down serious times. In fact, any V8s with competitive lap times are all turbocharged, lending more credibility to this being the motor. So what else do we know? Well, for one, we know that this Z06 is equipped with a wide body kit and wide rear tires. We can see this when we compare it to a base model, also in the camouflage. We also know that the body panels are changed from the Stingray just enough to need a cover all over the car. What we can only assume is that it's going to look closer to the C8R, as that's been the case for the C6 Z06 and the C7 Z06 when you compare them to their race car variants. If you look at the history of Corvette racing, you'll notice that the motors in the race car weren't that close to the motors in the actual road cars. So when GM Authority says that FIA homologation is going to require a naturally aspirated flat plane crank V8 in one of the road going models, they are incorrect. The C8R used a 5.5 liter pushrod, and that motor was not available in any of the road cars. So the motor that we see here in this photo, assuming that it has the same block architecture, should be just fine to satisfy the FIA. Obviously, I don't know, neither do they, but I just wanted to clear that up so you weren't thinking that, oh, this guy doesn't understand how the homologation works. Because if you look in the history of Corvettes from the C8R all the way up to now, it's never been the issue. So hopefully this was informative for you guys. Hopefully you're able to learn a bit from this. Obviously this could change, I could be wrong. However, the guy that posted these images was right before when everybody was doubting him. I learned my lesson from that, and I know that, okay, obviously this guy knew something. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until new proof appears somewhere else. And until that time, this is where I'm hedging my bets. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think it's going to be turboed or naturally aspirated? I'm sure this is going to be the great debate until we hear this thing screaming on the track. Until then, we'll keep pumping out this content with things that we can back up based on either previous events or cold hard facts. Guys, we're excited to bring you our new videos. Our first C8 was built today, number 90 VIN. We can't wait to get it and show you guys everything that you want to see on the new C8. Until that time, guys, play safe, drive safe, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Peace!